The effects of using the RIASEC model in career counseling. My name is Nina Campbell. My research question I want to investigate for my proposal is, what is the effect of using the RIASEC model with career counseling with adolescent students? My hypothesis is using the RIASEC model in career counseling has a positive effect to determine future careers for adolescents. The purpose of this study is to discover if using the RIASEC model is an effective tool to helping adolescents determine their future careers. Previous studies have shown the RIASEC model with career counseling has had a strong relationship with adolescents and the ability to select a future career. In a longitudinal study that was looked at, they showed associations between personality traits in adolescents later in life with their occupations, classified by the RIASEC model. John Holland originally founded the RIASEC model and created the codes back in 1958. He found that people were most satisfied with their occupations when their interests matched their occupational duties. A lot of Holland talks about kind of the interests that you have and whatnot. That way you can establish what kind of personality traits you have that would match those interests. So, for instance, there's the 6 categories that he creates, which is the realistic, the investigative, social, artistic, and enterprising conventional. If you fit in the realistic category, you would most likely like to do jobs that might work with tools or machinery and probably do labor intensive type of jobs. An investigative category would be kind of like finding into things that there's a mystery you want to find or resolve something, so a lot of math or science related fields. Social is definitely more helping people, interacting with them, talking to them. Fields like counseling, for instance, would go in that category. Artistic is obviously artistic skills, kind of thinking about things to be in a more unique fashion or be able to take something on your own unique turn. Enterprising is a category for people who might have traits where, they like to be a supervisor, maybe they're an entrepreneur, they have no problem selling something, for instance, those kind of jobs. And conventional would be a lot of clerical type of work. That might be work kind of like filing systems, organizing things. That's what people who would fit in that category would be most likely wanting to do. So for the methodology for this, in theory, for my proposal, if I were to do this, I would be going to a high school where there's probably 1,400 students. In my scenario, I have 514 students attending career counseling sessions weekly. Students for the 2 groups will be divided using random assignment. So it'll be divided in half once they are randomly decided which group they belong to. So 257 students will enter into sessions using the RIASEC model. So weekly they'll be using things related and talking in their sessions related and focusing to the RIASEC model and their 3-letter code, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So then there'll be 257 students as well who will be the control group, so they won't be using the RIASEC model. They will also not be taking the ONET, which we will be talking about. So continuing on with the methodology, we'll go into more of the instruments. So for the 257 students that will be using the RIASEC model weekly in their counseling sessions and focusing using, having a narrowed focus to those 3-letter codes and occupations related to those in their counseling sessions, they will discover these 3-letter codes through the ONET. So the ONET is it's a really cool survey that you go online for, so it's widely available worldwide. You basically enter things that you maybe would more likely like or not like based on the questions and pictures they show you about occupations, and it's also based on a Likert scale, how it makes your scores. So then it gives you a finalized score at the end of the survey of each, what you scored in each letter for those 6 categories: the realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. And what you're supposed to do, according to Holland's theory, is to take those top 3, and those are your main 3 letters. So most likely you would like to go into a field that kind of would be selected in those 3 letters. And what the ONET does really quickly is you can move on to the next step of, basically it's going to take those 3 letters and it's going to give you a whole bunch of things that will belong to those 3 letters. So all related occupations, and you can investigate all kinds of things like how many years of experience you might need, how many years of college it's going to take, if it will take college, how much you might be paid. It's pretty cool. So in my scenario, once my students would have that 3-letter code after taking that survey, again, only the 257 that are part of the RIASEC group, not the control group, they will record those 3 letters on an official form to give to their counselors. That way all their counselors are well aware each session what 3-letter group they belong to and what their interests would be, according also to their characteristics of themselves. To measure how the students are doing each week in counseling groups, I'd like to create a weekly progress survey that I'm going to call the WPS, to record the progress after each counseling session each week and how they felt they have improved or haven't improved on many of the symptoms that they originally had tried before, or have been suffering, and things that they've tried with their counselor. And along with, I'm kind of thinking about clinical work because I do a lot of clinical work. I mean, related to occupational stuff. So the problems they might have, maybe they thinking they do have to go to college, how might they get there, and so, their counseling sessions are going to be narrowed down to those, and I'd like the survey to measure how much they feel that they have improved themselves. And with my hypothesis, I would hope that those who are in the RIASEC group feel that they have much greater improvements toward their goal or selection of a future career than, per se, the control group of the students who did not take the ONET survey and were not a part of the RIASEC model. So for the data analysis part, I would like to create a frequency distribution along with a polygraph so that I could visually see exactly the data that I'm looking for and the changes in the points between both groups of students. And I'd also like to calculate, of course, the mean and the median and the mode. And I would really like to make the frequency distribution based on the mean of each group, and plotting it over the 13 weeks that it'll be going on for each session, so that I can see if there is different data points based on that. Alright, and that is my project proposal. Yeah, it's been awesome sharing it with you guys. It's interesting to share Holland's codes because they're kind of confusing, and I think it's kind of crazy how basic they are and just how they put you in this category. But then with surveys like the ONET, they just really work out so well, because then it gives students an option to look at so much stuff and see, you know, how many years of schooling is this going to take? Is this going to be something likely that I'd actually like to go into? Do I even have, you know, traits in myself that match that type of work? Because they might just be told something, or might think that that sounds like a good idea, and they have no idea, and this is a really good way to see maybe I would or would not like that.